Hey guys, it's Alex here, and it's 2025, the age of agentic models. And today I'm going to show you SmolAgents. This is a light agentic model that you can use. It's been supplied by Hugging Face and is awesome. This is their idea of a light agentic model, and this is actually how they have shown an agentic model to run. It's about not only utilizing LLMs, but the right tooling to be able to pass into memory observations that are more accurate, meaning that when the specific use case requires tooling, like a calculator or any other code interpreter, it will use that instead. This essentially means there'll be less actions. We'll see that LLMs will take less time to find an answer to complex questions that require mathematical equations or lookups. Yes, this is pretty cool. And also, you can choose how many steps are iterated in this model. You can choose a one-step agentic model, which will try and solve it in one step, or you can have multi-step or reactive models that can keep iterating until they get the correct answer. Now, when we do some testing on this, I want to try the multi-step options because that might give us a more in-depth understanding of how agentic models can self-run. Now, this is pretty easy to utilize and is only in a few lines of code. It's pretty much only calling the actual Python library and then running the agent code using your preferred LLM. You can choose to use any LLM you want. So let's go into the GitHub repository. And as you can see here, all we need to do is pip install. So let's go into our terminal. First, I'm going to open up a virtual environment for Python 3.11 because Torch doesn't work in the most latest version of Python. And then I'm going to use pip install SmolAgents into this virtual environment. And as you can see, I've already installed this. But if you haven't yet, it will go through and install the library. And then we're just going to copy this code here and then move it into a new text file. And in a Python file, we will add the small lines of code that are required. This is the minimum needed to run a SmolAgents agentic flow. We'll save it, and then we'll try and run it in a different terminal. Hopefully, it will give us an answer. We've incorporated DuckDuckGo search tool into this code, which is basically a search API that has been provided by SmolAgents. It is free to use up to a certain amount of quota. And you can also purchase a license to go further if you want to use search tool much more often. But this should suffice for now. So let's run it. Okay, and as you can see, the file started to actually process the agentic flow. It's put the command in and started step 0. It's then used DuckDuckGo search tool to search internet for relative answers for leopard's run average speed, so that way you can calculate it. Now, over a few steps, it's also able to iterate in code an equation utilizing the average speed it found on the internet and essentially give us an answer, which is 9.62. That is actually amazing how it's able to incorporate both LLM activity, search activity, and coding to be able to formulate this answer, and gives us a bit of insight into how agentic flows will work in the future. Now, this is a very basic agentic flow, but it shows you the power and the efficiency of being able to get an answer without having to conceptualize through LLMs entirely and be able to process through both code and different LLM sources. Now, you can also use lite LLM model to make this use any model, including locally run models on your machine through a llama. So we'll just go into the GitHub library and in the examples folder under tool calling agent llama, copy this piece of code here and put it underneath. And then you can basically utilize this code to call in your llama model. Now, this comes with a bit of caution because when I was running on my M1 Mac, it would hallucinate on the DuckDuckGo search aspect of the agent, and it would return different kind of facts that had nothing to do with the run command. For example, who is the current pope? So in the end, it did not work for me entirely using this lite LLM model with llama, but it still gives you that flexibility. So perhaps try it on your machine. You might do better than me. Qwen 2.5 Coda with the 32 billion parameter model would probably work best with this. But yes, we can also add additional authorized imports, and that allows us to use Python libraries that we've already installed on our computer. You can use Y-Finance, for example, to get answers on the stock market, for example. Now, you can also utilize different web search tools as well, or website opening tools. There are a whole bunch of tools that are available with SmolAgents at the moment, and you can see more information about them in the actual documentation under what tools are currently available by default. You can also create your own tools specifically for your own agentic flow. But anyway, running this, we were able to get an answer using the HF API model, which is the Hugging Face API model using Qwen 2.5 instruct. But it did have a few errors because it wasn't able to access some of the libraries, and also had some issues with the search. But you can see that in the end, it still utilized through the memory of whatever it was able to iterate in code, as well as through the search engine, an answer of what the current NVIDIA stock price was. So that's very good. As you can see, it used the Python library and also formulated an LLM answer using the answer that was provided through the application or Python iterator. So essentially, it runs up its own little Python environment when you run the agent, and it can find the answers from that Python run and utilize them. Anyway, as much as we like using local machines, it's also really good to use like LLM with your own APIs if you have them for any of the LLM models that are available on the internet. We're using GPT-4o now with a key that I have now retracted, so you cannot use it. And we're going to try and ask it another question to find the price of Tesla and then convert it into AUD. Now, we're only authorizing the Y-Finance library here, so same as before, it's going to be able to utilize Y-Finance to get the current stock price. But how will it do the Forex exchange is now the question at hand. So here it is able to utilize the Y-Finance. It tries to import Forex converter. Now, since we didn't authorize that, it should not be allowed to do that, and that's actually a code safety thing. And instead, it uses DuckDuckGo to search the internet for the Forex exchange rate, uses that, inputs it into another code in the step 3 of the agentic flow, and still is able to provide an answer, even though it didn't have the ability to use Forex exchange library because we didn't authorize that. Now, that is actually quite amazing that it still found an answer, and I find that into the future of 2025, it seems like agentic flows are here to stay, and there will become more efficient and more optimized ways to run LLMs fit for purpose and help to make applications much more efficient. Okay guys, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe, like the channel, and comment down below what you would like to see next.